Yeah.
Okay, so what people think of, hi, Jonathan. Hi, everybody there. I see
Hi.
Christopher. Thank you about the show yesterday on the Angel Rock. So,
Oh, yeah, and I
um,
missed that.
well, we'll
I
talk about that in a sec. So, right,
Okay.
I'm going to grab this and show y'all because people, I need to do a video, and people keep telling, or Spirit keeps telling people, Spirit keeps telling me that I need to make a video because people have no idea. So, what crystal Reiki is, there's 15 special symbols. I'll try covering up my light. There you go. That
Mhm.
I use. So what happens is when you come see me, it's almost like when I would admit somebody out in the community. So you come to me for whatever issue might be going on in your life. Doesn't matter what it is. Healing in any way we can, you know, whether it's finances, it could be health, it could be relationships, it could be trauma, it could be anything like that. And then I usually kind of know, I take a bit of a history, see what's been going on. Have you had any, I just go through a whole history, we'll say it that way. Then what I do is, I'm going to grab it from here. I did not know we were going to talk about this. A good thing everything's right by me here.
Yeah.
I use something called a pendulum, and I call it my gingerbread person. I draw an outline of a human being. I usually put a little bow for the girl if it's a woman. And then I draw all 7 of your main chakras through the core of your body. And I check each one of your chakras to see whether it's overbalanced, underbalanced, or balanced. And the ones that are out of whack, I then use these symbols I showed you. I also use intuitively different crystals working with your spiritual team, my spiritual team, and I put those crystals around the chakra that's affected. And then say the chakra is underbalanced, which means it needs more energy coming in. I use actually their little crystal points, and I'll point them inwards for them. And then it sounds like it's something to do with witchcraft, but it's not. It's a wand, and it's got a quartz crystal, and I direct energy in from the crystals, from the Reiki symbols, and what
Mhm.
have you. I go through your whole system. Then I
Mhm.
check afterwards to make sure you are indeed balanced. Then I don't have my bar with me, but I use something, this is selenite, it's a unicorn horn, but I'll use a bar, and after I check your whole body on the left, the center, and the right, I'm checking along there to see if you have any cracks or holes in your energy field or aura. And we have them. And usually they show up at joints, where we bend and move. But say you've had an accident somewhere before or an injury, I can pick it up sometimes that way. Um, there could be a lot of things. You could be having no issues, but there's something energetically going on in that area. So we
Mhm.
seal them basically and heal it up. And then right after that, I take all your energy and I ground it. So I'm grounding you. So it's a longer session and there's a lot involved, but I can tell you, I've had some regular clients that have had major shifts in their life with doing this. So it's very different from regular, say, Yasui. There's a Sui Reiki, there's Fire Reiki, there's Angel Reiki. So this is sort of a newer modality and a newer type of Reiki, but I love it. Sorry for the long
So
answer, but
no, that's great, but, so where do you go? How do you if do you go to someone that you can go to? Do you have a go-to person? Like, psychiatrists have psychiatrists that they go to, right? And so I was wondering, do you have someone that you go to, or do you take care of yourself, or
well, just
do you
one thing. I'm going to answer Herbert because I found the same thing. He said, "Hello, all tried to get on YouTube, but couldn't find it there. Just found reruns." And I noticed that too. It wasn't live. So I
Okay.
wasn't able
I
to.
Okay, so that's I will, I don't know if I can do that now. Maybe while you're talking, I'll try to find it and post it in the Facebook. So hopefully
Yeah,
that will
because
help.
this is weird too. Like with StreamYard, it's streaming it is streaming to my Facebook and my YouTube. So hopefully that works. But it's going through my usual StreamYard I use for podcasting. Anyways, we got a lot of questions. So who do I go to? Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm a little out of whack, and so is Faye, because I was in the middle of picking up stuff before the snow came and getting home. And she didn't know. Of course, I would never let Faye down or Roger, but I was here, but she didn't know if I was coming. So for a little
We're
frazzle, that's
just
why.
a little bit
We're
late,
getting
no
there.
big
We're
deal.
getting there. So who do I
We
go
got there.
for? I have a lot of I have a small core of inner circle. 2 women actually I had on last Monday. I did a show Christmas night and I did a show on the with the Angel Rock on New Year's Day. And
Mhm.
we work with one another quite a bit. So I have a core group I can work with. Another person that I'm going to give a huge shout out because I would love for people to look her up is
Okay.
Julie Jean Bassett. She's under Animal Communicator on Facebook.
I
And
watched that show of yours with her.
she is a,
Sh
go
Go
ahead.
ahead. You go ahead.
I was just going to say she is an animal communicator. I have worked with her. She's helped with one of my animals, and I've taken her animal communication course, which is phenomenal, by the way. And she's both supposedly going to be running one in the next few months. So anybody interested in that, I strongly encourage you to check her out. But she is also a shamanic practitioner. And I believe
Oh,
it's Dawn Ruiz that she worked with through this program. I just had a major shift working with her. I will be booking future sessions with her. Definitely recommend her. And so I would say those are a couple of my go-tos. Plus, I think that when you do this work, there's a lot of inner work that we have to do every day. I shouldn't
mhm,
say have to, that we should, that's good for ourselves, that helps maintain us in
mhm,
alignment when we're working with
mhm.
others. We do have a question I wanted to answer, if that's okay,
You
Faye.
go right ahead. Tell me who it is, and I'll post it if
It's
you
Carol Mario. Does this need to be done in person?
okay. Let
The
me see if
crystal
I can.
Reiki. She's
I
spelled Faye
might
at
be
the bottom.
I'm trying to put it up there, and it's delayed, so just, bear with me. Okay.
No worries. So Carol, no. And I'm Canadian. Most of my friends are in the US, around the world too, but most in the US. I don't actually work with a lot of people locally here, not because I don't want to. It just where I live isn't a huge community of people that necessarily subscribe to these type of modalities. So no, you do not need to be in person. And I've had a few people locally give me a very hard time about why they couldn't come to my house, or I don't have a brick and mortar or physical office to go to,
Mhm.
because I don't need to, because everything's energy. And science is proving this, that energy, you don't have to be sitting in front of somebody to do this type of work or anything really with energy.
That's so cool. I mean, yeah, and I mean, our own experience here, Roger does a lot of stuff, through Facebook Messenger and, with people all over the United States and
Hmm.
other countries. So I totally get that. I mean, I totally get that he does the readings and that you can do the healing is also very cool. It's just awesome.
Hmm.
I don't see any other okay, so Herbie's a little funny. He says a Dr. Doolittle course, which is kind of what it is, isn't it? I mean, she's able to, I mean, I don't know. I don't
Okay,
mean to
well,
make it,
explain it. Okay,
yeah,
so my
yeah.
children have always been able to communicate with animals from very young children. Even my son that has severe autism can.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually learned a lot from my elder son. And he would say, it's really easy. I've had other people say this. Well, it may be very easy if you know how to do it, but if you don't, I was getting in my own way. So what it is people, a lot of people believe that animals I've heard, don't have souls, don't have thoughts, don't have emotions. And I'm here to tell you that, oh, yes, they do. So it's very much like any of this work that we do when we connect psychically or mediumistically to others to help, right? Is you go in through the heart space through love. Julie actually shared a great, and I've actually shifted some of my practice to utilize this too. Again, with the chakras, for people who don't know what that is, that's energy centers that we have throughout our body, above our body, below our body. They're discovering more and more every day because we are energy. And, that's kind of, I always say, as a human being, I think the ideal situation for a human being would be to be perfectly grounded, meaning having your energy connected to Earth. I like to
Mm-hmm.
call her Gaia. And then we have a crown chakra. We have an Earth star chakra, many above our head as well. But having that energy perfectly connected to, whether you want to call it, I call it being back home, you call it the universe, call it whatever you like, but being perfectly connected through our midline, if you will, that's
Mm-hmm.
ideal. And then we have the duality going on, right? We've got hot, we've got cold, we've got good, we've got bad. But if everything was in perfect alignment, I think that's the perfect state for us to be in. So when you get back to animals, right? People think that animals are just here. They're just
Yeah.
thoughts or anything. Animals have chakra systems. And anyways, what I was talking about, sorry, as my mind's going a million miles a minute. And as I tried to explain the other night, last night actually, I'm hearing spirit and then I'm thinking about what I'm going to say. And then my mouth's moving. So I apologize if I forget what I'm going to say. But you go in through the heart, right? That's the best way to connect with any people that you can think of, anybody.
Mhm.
And say, some people, what I've ended up doing, I instead of offering different services, most people, I just pull in whatever needs to come through, right? If it's the Akashic records, then we open the records. If it's crystal Reiki, we talk about it. We might do a bit. I use a book called The Secret Language of Your Body. Again, pull it. You don't have to be a nurse to use the book, but
I just
I'm,
ordered that, by the way. It's
yes,
on its way. It's on its way.
because it's an awesome book
Yeah,
because it
thank you
goes
for
through
that.
every body system. It even has a lot of disease or illness issues that we may have, but it gives you the emotional and spiritual and energetic issues, why we may be experiencing this. And it gives you things to work with. So, how you can help heal it or improve
Uh-huh.
it. If you say you don't have access to someone like myself, or anybody can do this, anybody is our birthright to communicate with animals. So, in a way, kind of like Dr. Doolittle. But where I was going with this big long explanation is my son had told me that animals send you pictures. He had said that before, but he is, like myself, very clairaudient, meaning hearing.
Mm. Mhm.
I've been told that by many people, and I kept expecting to see these pictures my dog was going to send me that just came out of nowhere. I found out that no, that's not how it works for me. I actually hear, and again, I haven't talked to every animal, so they could all be different, which I expect, but I still hear a lot. And for example, in the animal course, Julia had us all send in pictures of our pets. You would ask permission first. You'd get into a heart centered space. So, where I was talking a few minutes ago, she had a quick 5-minute heart centered chakra meditation. It's just music to get you into the right frame of mode, right? And then
Mhm.
you ask the animal if you can communicate and you talk to them. So, all we were shown were pictures. And the one dog in particular I got so much information from was I didn't know it was Julie's stepmom's service dog, and I'd heard about this service dog before. This dog gave me pain where it was in one of his front arms, if you will, into his paw. Gave me the taste of the medication, and gave me
Wow.
all right. So it's paying attention to all your senses, and if we
Yeah.
really are all one, and everything's energy,
Right.
we should all be able to do this.
That's and you all we have to do is just work
Julie
on.
Jean Bassett, here she is here. I told you,
Oh,
Julie,
is
every time I'm
she?
talking about you.
Oh my gosh, thank you for joining us. And somebody wants you to repeat the name of that book again because I can never remember it.
Okay. What I did, I was doing a reading. I'd actually been on Carrie Lynn Shellhorn. She's a really incredible medium, has a
Mhm.
great show on our network as well on UPRN. And she had asked my co-host of my second show and I to be on a show, and she gave a 2-hour spot to join us just before Christmas. So David and I each gave away a reading. And I was telling her about the book. I'm going to give you the name. And I kept hearing spirit, you need to find your book. It's usually right here. It's called The Secret Language of Your Body by Ina, or Ineaseagal. I don't know. I'm wondering if it's gone under my bed here because I've been looking for it. I was trying to show the person I did the reading last week, and it's usually right here. And it's not here. I have to take a look again. I'm sorry. It's right here,
That's
and I can
okay.
show you guys because I don't know where it is gone.
So
And
it's the secret language of your body. And I
yes,
was able to pick it up on Amazon and it was
yeah, it's not hard to find.
right. You can go and
Here it
Amazon.
is. It
Good.
was hiding behind all my books.
Okay.
I knew it wouldn't have moved because I keep everything I use in my regular practice. I have a big shelf here. This here, let me cover this up.
Mm-hmm.
So
Ina
this
Seagal or something.
her name actually, the reason why I pronounce it that way, it's Ina. It's not
Oh,
spelled
Ina.
that. I used to call her Ina Segal too.
Yeah.
She's from, remember the Chernobyl
Yes.
reactor meltdown. Most of us that are old enough will. She was living very close to this, and
Oh,
her
wow.
brother was going to die if they didn't move from the radiation. So she moved with her family to Australia. And she tells her story in the beginning of this book and how she developed this practice and
Wow.
why it
Cool.
works and why she teaches people how to do this. And she's
Wonderful.
got a great Facebook page. She's got a YouTube channel. You can check her out. She's got quite a profound story. And she actually motivated me on my YouTube channel. It's not a big channel. I don't usually promote it. I use it for backups of my own shows.
Mhm.
Under the video section, if you scroll down to the bottom, I have some teaching videos. And one of them, I teach you how to feel energy, and there is no right or wrong answer, but I walk you through, go through some of the colors and the color, like what does black feel like to you? Once I show you how to
What
make
is the name of your YouTube channel? Is it
the Angel Rock with Lorilei Potvin. It's streaming there right now, actually. If you look
okay.
up my name, it's spelled so weird, or the Angel Rock, you'll find it. And Julie
Mhm.
says she has that book. It's a great book.
Yes, I can't wait to get it. I mean, there's a couple of things that I have read because I watch your show,
I'm so
and
glad that you do.
I
Thank
mean, honestly, I love you, Julie. Thank you for joining us, and I
I
know
love
it's
Julie too.
I know it's because Laura Lee's on our show. I we have animals in our household as well. Roger really communicates with his dogs very well. I mean, he can he can read what they're of course he can read what they're thinking and saying. I kind of feel like I've always been that way too. I have a cat that is very close to me and she's getting closer all the time. It's just really unusual. She was a rescue cat. She's a little Maine Coon cat. She was
Oh,
yeah, and I was so lucky to get her. I got her from the Humane Society when she was 15 years old,
oh wow.
and I know, and I think that's why I got her because cats like that are very hard to find, to
Mhm,
pick up, and they're very expensive. And I love the breed. And she has at first was very skittish, and only
mhm.
would stay on the second floor of our house. And now she's down and being with me, crawls all over myself and Roger and is very affectionate. I have never had a cat want to communicate with me so much. She
Mhm.
meows and she taps me. She taps me. It's
Aw.
like a meow, hello,
Mhm.
hello, hello. I know what she's saying. An amazing it's an amazing experience for me. I am so happy that she's in our household. I feel like she is also very happy to be in our household. So anyway, I believe that, you know, animals have souls, they have a purpose in our lives. They also teach us so much just by being who they are.
I
So anyway,
always say that we don't get necessarily the animals we want, we get the animals we need. I truly believe animals are earth angels, and they're here and they work with us. The cat that was peeing on the bed, on my son's bed, they are so bonded, and we knew it wasn't a health problem. There was something, and
mhm.
my son actually said, and this was the one with the autism. He said, "I think she's mad because I when I play my video games, I'm not paying attention to her."
Sure.
Lo and behold, we talked to Julie, and Julie just said, "Every I'm going to go up a little. It's a little bit up. I can't highlight it, but I'm just going to read what she had said because everyone
Okay.
has the ability to talk to animals. Like I had started to say, everybody does. I believe it's our birthright." And she said, "Just a lot of people shut off their ability as they get older." And it's the same thing with being intuitive or being, not every medium is psychic, right? But there's a lot of mediums that have psychic abilities. But I think we all have psychic abilities. We just might call it a different name, right? We might
Right.
call it, I trust my gut, or I know it. I don't know why I know it, but I know it. I know it to the depth of my core. That would be like claircognizance. You'll hear people in this field call it the clairs, but we
Mhm.
have all these senses. And then as we keep going on through time here, it's almost like we're really shutting them off or dulling them, because where do we see younger people? And I'm not being judgmental here, but what I've seen, you go to a restaurant, and there's a table of 8 kids, well, kids, teenagers, young adults, and what are they doing? Nobody's talking.
I
Everybody's on
know,
their phone, texting each other, or so
no,
it interferes with our energy field. Never mind. I think it really even more so dulls all of our senses and connection. Your body will talk to you too. You can use your body as a pendulum, like I showed you this pendulum. You can use your body as a pendulum. So when you really look at it, that everything is energy and that we
mhm,
really are all connected,
yes,
we can do these things. And just because, like Julie had mentioned, that as we get older, we shut it off, and myself included, I was using a lot of these gifts. I just didn't realize, especially as a nurse. And
mhm,
like a bike. We all rode bikes as kids, right? Many of us probably haven't been on them for years, but it doesn't mean we can't ride a bike again. You just got to
right.
get back on and practice.
That was one of my questions to you, as a registered nurse, and while you were physically doing it, do you feel, or and maybe I asked you this before, but I find it to
Oh,
be
you did know, but
fascinating to ask you, did you use your medical intuition? Did that help you with patients? Did that help? Do you
mhm.
feel like it was like a leg up on knowing what was up with them?
Okay,
Or
so I didn't know I had these abilities
oh,
until I went through my extreme paranormal experience. But
okay.
looking back, I use them. I'll tell you a few things here. So one time, see, I worked on a floor that had everything. When I first graduated, I went to university, got my nursing degree. I was planning to be a doctor actually, but life had other plans for me. So I worked on a floor purposefully. It was absolutely double hockey sticks to work there, but it gave me so much experience, as a nursing student, my first year, I was one of the first students they ever hired, but I was a nursing student working in a nursing home all through my university experience. So I got a lot of medical experience. But the
Sure.
floor I started on had cardiac step down. I had done some of my clinical in the adult ICU as well as the neonatal ICU. We
Mhm.
did radiation on the floor, we did chemo, we did
Wow,
surgery, you name it, we did it on this floor.
wow.
So then I went to the neonatal intensive care unit. Loved it. It was great, but the stress was so high, and I decided to go to out in the community. And I worked there. I would visit people in their homes and
Mhm.
actually set up quite a few programs. Like I did a lot of the high tech stuff to help them set it up, like with central lines and PIC lines and IVs and all that stuff. But the stuff that I really loved was palliative care and working there. But back
Was what kind of care?
palliative care, end of life care, people
Oh,
to to transition from this
okay.
life
Oh, wow.
in their own homes. But some of these stories, for example, I can remember one night because I used to work nights or days always. I never liked to work evenings. And there was myself and another nurse I graduated with, and we had about, I think, 40 to 60 patients each. And nursing back then was not what it is now. You had to mix your own IV bags, you had to process all the doctor's orders, anything. Like there was a lot of stuff, pour your own meds. Anyways, I'd listen to report and I had the longer side of the floor. So I had about 60 people. And the last room I should have went to, I heard this loud voice say, "You need to walk in there now." And I walked in there and the man was having a cardiac arrest. That would have been
Wow.
the last room I would have went to, and I went there first. I can remember out in the community with the medical intuitiveness, I walked in and it was a new admission, and it was just supposed to be a dressing, and it was lady had a area on the back of her back somewhere here, and I took the dressing off. I literally heard, "This isn't a wound, this is skin cancer." And I thought, "Oh, like, we're not allowed to diagnose as nurses, and doctors don't like to be told those kind of things," but I thought, I can't leave this." So, I
Right.
remember calling the doctor, thank God it was a nice doctor, and I called him and I said, "Doctor so and so," I said, I don't know quite how to say this, but I'm telling you right now, this lady has skin cancer. I am as sure of it as I am as my name." Thankfully, he was very open to it, and he goes, I hadn't even considered that. He goes, have her make an appointment, come in. We're going to biopsy it. Sure enough, she had one of the most severe forms of skin cancer developing, but it was below the surface. So it just looked like this abrasion, we would call it. So the skin just didn't want to seem to heal over top. And I had many things like that as a nurse looking back. So I've been using this my whole life. I
Right.
just
You
didn't
didn't know
know.
what it
Mhm,
was.
mhm,
You just kinda knew it without being able to
mhm.
explain it. Now you can look back and see that's what it was.
I putting it all together, like
Yeah.
because when we all start out, like I said, this isn't something like, I wasn't doing what I'm doing now, say 15 years ago. I was starting as with angel cards and feeling that call and stuff. But I remember, if any of you were all out there and looking into this, going, when am I going to hear my guides? What are my guides' names? What are my angels' names? When am I going to open my third eye? And then after, I worked with a bunch of different mentors and took some courses and stuff, I went, holy crap, I've been hearing this my whole life. I just
You've
put,
already been there. Yeah.
yeah. And we
Yeah.
all do. Once you put it all together, we hear it. Believe me, we do. We just don't realize, I think, that we're
Yeah.
getting that guidance. Mhm.
I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. I mean, I can identify a little bit, and, I appreciate what you're saying
I
because
am so proud of you that you were doing this show, because I can remember
wow.
when we met, and
Yeah.
a couple times
I
Roger couldn't be there, and I'd, fill in with you, and I kept saying, "Faye,
yes.
I could so see you doing this." So when you told me you were gonna start this, I was so proud of you.
Well, I appreciate that, and then just quickly, I'll just say to the folks that have joined us tonight, I mean, and there's some of them who have been with us for so long and for 6 years on our shows, and first I was behind the scenes, I wasn't even on camera because we didn't have the technology then to use, and, I think it has helped me to just practice and to find my voice, the thing that I did as a profession, if you want, or career, if you wanna call it, was one where I was like more like a person that didn't, tamp down anything that I had to say, and after getting, you know, help from my husband and encouragement from Paul Francis and then from you and others, I
Mhm.
I things started to develop that I am curious about all of this, and I want to share my journey and my curiosity with the viewers that come in every
So
week.
proud of you.
And
Mhm.
thank you. And and the people that we have met have been so astounding. And of course, there's this that's nothing is a coincidence, right? I mean,
That's right.
I believe that well long before any of this.
So did I. I still sometimes catch myself saying that.
I mean, I always felt that way, for a long time, and, I just wanna just say thank you, Lorilei, for having that, I think that extra little boot helped me, and,
It's all you, Faye. You had to have the courage and to step forward and say, "Okay, I'm gonna give this a try."
yeah, and I'm having a wonderful time. I'm having a wonderful time meeting people and getting their backstory because as you are always, I mean, you're an incredibly busy lady.
Mhm.
You have two shows and you help others with their shows. You help people on the network. Because I know what you do. We were the recipient of your help.
I know, but I love it because then I get to meet you guys,
Uh,
because with the network being as big as it is, you don't get to meet everybody. Before we were producing our own shows, so I would never push myself on people, but I would reach out because I think that we should support one another no matter what job we're doing. I call it the muggle job. This isn't, I guess we could call it kind of a muggle job, kind of not. We're kind of out of the norm doing
mhm,
this, though it's becoming more popular doing podcasting now. But
right.
I get to meet all the new people that come on, so I love doing
That's
this.
kind of exciting. And you are, you just, you're just a good person to try to, someone I emulate. That's what
Aw, thank you.
you're one of those folks. And where was I going? I wanted to also, I mean, you had also said something to Roger and I when you were on our show, God bless you because you you say yes to everybody. And
Mhm,
you were on our show, This Mug's for You, on our just before our New Year, the New Year's came,
mhm.
and you asked the question, "What do you think of dragons?" And,
Oh, okay.
remember?
Yes, yes.
And, that was fun for me because, Roger and I watched just, every day for a while, Game of Thrones and then House of Dragons, and
I
that
wanna
has
watch those, so I'm
oh my
dying to
god
hear what you have to say.
oh my gosh, it is I mean, dragons were everywhere, and I said, "I want a dragon," and you know what? I have to show you what I bought.
Yay!
Did
I
you
just bought new molds with all dragons because it's year of the dragon. I haven't put them out. That's on my I am completely reorganizing my house. I don't make resolutions, but because I can't find stuff and I love to create, but I'm gonna be putting the dragons out this year. I think that's gonna be my
so
first thing.
I got this beautiful jade
Oh my
dragon.
goodness.
Isn't it
I
gorgeous?
love it.
I love it too, and so tell me, what is your opinion? I know that you are also an Akashic, I'm pronouncing it incorrectly, practitioner,
Mhm,
and, I heard in one of the podcasts, I'm not sure it was you,
mhm.
but they tapped into a dragon and they
Yeah.
ca okay, please tell
Okay, so
me.
I know what
Can
you're
you?
talking about. When my really close friends, Debbie A. Anderson, she has vibrational energy. She is an incredible medium and very psychic. She's originally from the UK. Met her husband. He's Canadian. He used to be a police officer. He does actually past life regressions and sometimes future life regret progression, I guess, comes through. So super awesome couple. Anyways, they now live in Mexico. They used to go there for the winters and come back for the nice weather in Canada.
Mhm,
And during the last couple of years, with what we've gone through, they just decided to move there permanently. So she was on, and then my other close friend I've known for quite a few years, both of them I called both of them like my sisters, Leanne Clark. How I met Julie Jean Bassett.
okay.
Leanne is in Atlanta, Georgia, and she does the Akashic Records. That's why we connected years ago. We always say in a group that shall remain nameless. Same as my co-host David Hansel. That's how I know him.
Okay.
Anyways, Leanne is also, she's discovered she is a really incredible channel. And she also, I call her the Crystal Wizardress. We were doing a show New Year's Day on dragons. And I
Okay.
believe it was, I'm trying to remember, I know who it is, Nicole. Nicole, one of our regular audience people, had said she had done a guided meditation because you can do that to get
Yeah.
into the Akashic records.
I've
And
been reading up on that. Yeah, that's
okay,
very
well, hers were guarded by a dragon. And I think all of us, and Julie had said this too, that we'd never heard that before. So we were talking about it. So you were saying, so with the dragon, I think I jumped in there all excited. So you were asking my opinion, and I think I got too excited. So
that's
what did
okay.
you want to know?
Well, I just wanna know, I mean, are there dragons? I mean, are
Yes, yes, and unicorns and fairies and all the things. Okay, so let me back up for a sec. My theory is that some of the good things we've heard about, some of the more scary things we've heard about, things like giants and
Mhm,
vampires. There's things called the energy vampires, actually. They're not things, they're people. Some people do it knowingly, some people don't do it knowingly, but they are what we would call an energy vampire. And you guys, every single one of you have probably been around one of those people. You spend a little bit of time around them and you literally feel
mhm,
exhausted or drained. Someone maybe that's really negative, even they're sucking your energy. Maybe it's to bring themselves more into balance, is what I'm just hearing from spirit, and they don't even know they're doing it, right? But people
mhm,
do that. Werewolves and all kinds of things like that, right? My theory is, and when you get to fairies, unicorns, nature spirits, all of these things, dragons, I believe that they had to exist, even giants, in some period of time. Otherwise, it would have gone by the wayside. Think about it. Hundreds of years ago, we didn't have the technology we have now.
mhm,
So people worked hard and they would have a good meal. And then for entertainment, right, they'd sit around the fire, usually somebody that had the respect of the family, somebody that would be very wise, have more years of living, if you will. They would talk, and maybe they'd share stories of the family history, or I'm thinking even First Nations people,
Mhm.
whatever it is, right? And they would talk about these things, and these stories would get passed down from generation to generation. So to me, if these things never existed, it's just a fairy tale made up,
Mhm.
we wouldn't be hearing about them still today. Just
Well,
makes sense to me.
it's interesting to know that, dragons are not only I mean, they're in, the folklore, if you will, of, the Chinese
Yep.
and also, even I think, in UK, we have, uh, dragons there as well. I mean, there's
Mhm.
dragons, in the legends of people who lived thousands of miles apart. And, so
Mhm.
why? Why is that? And how did they conjure that up? How did they conjure that information up? It was I don't know.
To me, there had to be some vestige of truth in the being of it.
Mhm,
And don't get me wrong, it's like the game, depending on where you live in the world. Over here in North America, most of us would have called it telephone. You got a group of 30 people sitting in a circle. Someone comes up with a word and they whisper it in the next person's ear, the next person's ear, next person's ear. By the time they get to the end, a lot of times it's nowhere near the word, but we're not talking a word even. We're talking tales of this. And then, depending how far you dig and where you look and how open minded you are, and we always, I think, have to have a healthy dose of skepticism. But I am finding and seeing that there are pictures and video and things of all of these things we're just talking about. I've even seen, not recently, but I have seen pictures that look very much like dragons
mhm,
and things like that. So, yes. So Dawn, right?
mhm.
What she just said
Dawn.
that.
Yeah, she's, from the UK, actually, so that's cool to have. Thank you for being on our show, Dawn, today. It's awesome to see everybody.
I
Um,
have a friend that I adore. I've known her for years. My partner, Dell, when he was doing podcasting, he kind of snapped her up because I told him, I said, once you meet her, you're going to just love her. And her name is Varla Ventura. And so I try to.
Carla
Dell, my
Ventura.
partner and I, we used to have our show on the same night, and his was an hour and mine was two. So sometimes we put our show together to make it 3 hours. This lady is that fascinating. And does a lot of her stuff. She's written books on fairies, and we're talking every kind of fairy you could think of, pukas, changelings, you name it, in her book. She has written a story about the weird, the strange, the unusual, the paranormal. She's
Wow.
written on mermaids, and then on and on and on. But she does so much research. And I have her fairies book. I have her other book when I moved. I've got to find it. And it was on, I think, strange and unusual things around the world. But the fairy book, most I find her knowledge comes from Celtic lore and over in the UK. And she's just a wealth of knowledge
Is
to.
she from the North America, did you say, or did you
She
say where
lives
she
closer to me than you guys do. So one of these days, I already told her, because we're having a big paranormal conference here where I live, which is Thunder Bay
Mhm,
in northwestern Ontario in Canada. It's called the Lake Superior Paracon. It is going to be in October 2024. We have
mhm,
Shane Pittman apparently coming. He's quite well known in the paranormal. We have Jeff Belanger, who is an author. We have Carrie Lynn Shellhorn from UPRN. So
mhm.
finally, I might get to meet her in person.
That's
Um,
cool.
so I'm telling people. So I told Varla about it. So I'm hoping maybe she'll come up for it. I have to send
Wonderful.
it to her. Mhm.
Well, that's very cool. That's exciting. And there's also something going to be happening in Duluth as well. Did you
Oh,
say
is
that?
there?
Oh, is that was I thought you told
Nope.
us.
Because
Oh,
where I am, for people that are going, where the heck is Thunder Bay? In
mhm,
North America, there's 5 Great Lakes that we share with our brothers and sisters in the US. The biggest one is called Lake Superior. And I live right on the shores of Lake Superior. I'm about 35 to 40 minutes away from the Minnesota border in the United States. And Duluth, Minnesota, I love Duluth. I've been there so many times. It's about 3.5 hours away. You go over a bridge, as you will well know, and then you can be in another state. You can be in Wisconsin.
okay, I think I was confusing, what you had said to me. I was misplacing the event in Thunder
You
Bay
know
for
what you
something.
might have heard, because I might have been talking about Varla, because Varla, um, she goes to a place called Two Harbors, which is about a, you'll know
Sure.
this, it's about a half
Yes.
hour outside of Duluth, Minnesota.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's in Wisconsin. I'm not
No,
sure.
Minnesota.
Oh,
Nope,
it's
it's
Minnesota?
Minnesota. I know that for sure. I know
Okay.
for sure.
Oh,
And then,
cool.
so for other people who are going, where's Duluth, Minnesota? Because there's lots of Duluth.
Oh, really?
We're about six. There's Duluth in Atlanta, Georgia. I believe there's another Duluth small community somewhere in the US. I'd have to look it up again. So I live about 6.5 hours north of Minneapolis, Minnesota, where the wonderful artist Prince came
Well,
from.
yes, and I'm so glad that you're that close because it's just it's a incentive for
And you live in that area. I should have brought you
right.
up first.
We're in Wisconsin and we're not far from Lake Superior, really. I think it's
Mhm,
maybe 3 hours or so
mhm.
of travel to the southern shores of Lake Superior.
Mhm.
So you know,
I
it's a
got
big
off
lake.
track here. We were talking about dragons because you know what Julie had said, it's a little higher, but I think this is important for people to know. Yes, everyone has at least one dragon as a guide. So yeah, there you go. And we do.
Wow. Wow, so that's another thing that I'm working on, and I told you about the card, the angel card I drew before the show. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm trying not to be impatient about all the things that on my list this year
Well, I
is
kind of stressed you out. I feel so bad for
oh
that.
no
I
that
can guarantee you, if there was, I had even planned, if I had run into traffic or anything, y'all were getting me with no makeup, but my phone was charged and I was going to be here.
you're beautiful.
No,
I
I did put makeup on. I got home in time, but I
I
know you.
mean,
I
you look
know Roger
perfect.
messaged me. He was going to stand in everybody, but you got me.
I yes, I mean, I'm glad that you were able to make it and I
I
don't
would
I'm
never let you down. If I
hopefully
promise
that
somebody I'm going to be there, I will be
there
there.
wasn't a lot of stress on your end. I know there probably I wonder if there
Are
was.
you
And
kidding? I have a problem with gnomes. My co-host David and I have many things in common. We were even having a chat after Thursday night. I think it was Thursday night show that we're beginning to think that we have known each other, as most of us probably have our friend group, in many lives, but we just
yes,
have too much in common. We both love the Victorian era. We have what we joke about as a gnome problem. So we just got a Dollar Tree here. So for most of you that don't know this,
we go. Yeah.
in Canada, we have Dollarama. There's nothing a dollar in that store. Like you have to pay $5 Canadian at least for everything. Well,
Uh-huh.
Dollar Tree opened 3 days before Christmas, and I just about went crazy because nothing is over $2.
Right. I
And
love Dollar Tree. I
I
love
know, but I missed out on the Valentine's Day gnomes. So that's why I had to run there and I got a bunch of other things. These gnomes are like this big. I was
oh
like,
my
holy
gosh.
cow.
Are they in your house or in your yard or where are they? Everywhere.
I just picked up I left my bags downstairs. I dropped them, came upstairs and got ready. And I got on here, so I'll unpack them. No, from Dollar Tree because I craft so much. So
Oh
for
yeah.
me, I mean,
Mm,
they even had resin at Dollar Tree in molds.
wonderful.
Mhm.
Good. Good for
Julie's
you.
laughing at me.
Yeah, that's cool. So your resins, I'm this is all about you, Miss Lorilei.
No,
So
I
you
put on
do
us.
resin work. What do you make? What do you
What
make?
do I not make? I
Oh,
literally have over 200 molds. For people that don't know what resin is, and I was doing it long before it's become as popular as it has. I can remember in North America, we have Michael's Crafts. Everybody has a craft place, no matter where they live, right? Like that they
mhm,
can go to. And I remember when I started getting very interested in resin, they were looking at me like I had 10 heads. So I had to order stuff from China and Singapore and you name it.
yeah.
So now I have over 200 molds. And I keep telling people have been asking me, when am I getting my store open? And that is why I've decided I am completely revamping, reorganizing my house, and then the store needs to open. So I have a spiritual line. So I don't make just like this, but I make pendulums, I make a crystal um, charging plates. I got like Metatron's cube in it. I hand paint that in. And resin is like a liquid plastic that you pour into silicone molds and you can create anything. I make runes. I have chakra stones, you name it. Then I have even, I can make handmade chessboards and checkerboards, and then light switch plates and jewelry, pet accessories, you name it, I can make it. So that's
Well,
what I'm working on.
next show you're on, I would like to see some of those
I
things.
was just thinking, like I make jewelry too. I was just thinking if I thought about it, thinking, do I have even anything up here that I've made? Because
That's
I
okay.
do. I usually have. Oh yeah, I do actually.
Okay.
Right? No, I don't. I thought I did. No. I was thinking maybe I wore a necklace with it. I have a crystal on, but not a necklace. You name it, I can make it. Like literally make it. Yeah, Carol, hurry up and open your
Okay,
store. I know.
so yeah, I mean, that is awesome. That's totally awesome.
Even
I saw
okay, for people that smoke, I know it's not necessarily the best habit. I have make little boxes that the lid pops open, and like I've made some for Christmas, for Halloween. I can put anything on it. For like for Christmas, for example, uh, I I I think my love language is gift giving. I remember when I first did this when we moved out of our old haunted house into this new place 4 years ago, and I made gifts up for the neighbors because we truly
oh,
have beautiful neighbors compared to where I used to.
oh, that is such a good idea.
Yeah, so what I did was everybody got a basket. Some of them have little ones, so I got the little ones. I don't know if I'll ever have grandkids, so I have little ones on both sides of me. So for Christmas, I made them either hot cocoa baskets, or like the gentleman next to me with a little girl, he's got a new relationship. So I made them like a movie basket. But in there, I made they're just beautiful. They were all these gorgeous snowflake votive holders and Christmas ornaments. So when the light hits it, all the different colors come
Mhm.
through. And then what everybody seemed to love, I have a machine called a Cricut. So it can cut anything and you design it on the computer. So I made everybody different mugs, and I made them a hot cocoa basket, everything you could think of. So for the
That's wonderful.
ladies, the mugs looked like they had dripping hot chocolate on the rim. And then they had
Wow.
these cute little marshmallow faces. And then the one lady's significant other is a major fisherman. So I cut out a big silhouette of a fisherman, and then I took a font and like type of lettering, and it looked like fish hooks, and wrote his name. So everybody was quite thrilled. So I am always doing stuff like that.
That
That's
is
when I
awesome.
connect to spirit.
And it's good to have something that you are so creative, and isn't it great to have, like an outlet for, to use your God, another gift that you have,
You know
to
what I say to
share.
people though is if you want to feel better about your life, if you want to connect with spirit or your guides, everybody has guides and angels, and like Julie said, a dragon guide, whatever it may be, right? We all do. I always say they're there whether you believe in them or not. They're there from the minute you were conceived and made the decision to come here until you leave and transition back home.
Mhm,
And if you want to connect to them, and we sort of mentioned this a little bit earlier with the animal communication, how you connect is through raising your vibration. And I used to hear this all the time and go, what the heck is that? All it is going into doing whatever that may be that brings you a sense of joy,
mhm.
and you're in a happy space. Or say you want to, Julie, I think you were just connecting on here, I was talking about the meditation you had shared, and I've actually altered some of my practices now to run a quick one for about 5-10 minutes before I connect, when I'm going to do a reading or whatever it may be, because I think that that's the way we connect to the other side, especially is through love. So even if, say, you couldn't do a heart chakra meditation, I tell people there's always somebody you've either loved, or somebody or something that you love. Think about that. Focus on the feelings. You can also, everybody's got a movie that makes you laugh. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know. I know a couple I have. Do you have movies that make you laugh? Like
I
there's
do, I do. It was, with, Steve Martin and John Candy in,
planes,
Planes
trains, and
and
automobiles.
Automob I laughed so hard in that movie. That
Oh,
was
Well,
Yeah.
Dell's got lots, okay, and they're really crazy ones. I'd never heard of this movie before, but his mother has a family house. It's a camp on one of the most beautiful lakes about 20 minutes away. So she buys movies all the time out there because the internet does not.
Another one was, I'm sorry, My Cousin Vinny. Oh my.
Okay, so that's what I was going to add to this, where I was going. So she
Okay.
buys movies, and I'd never heard of this movie. It is called The Slammin' Salmon. And oh my Lord, like just peeing yourself laughing. Or
Oh, cool.
Step Brothers with oh God, I can from Saturday Night Live. He's an elf. What's his name? Just
Oh, 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 oh.
Will Ferrell. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. So
Will Ferrell.
we all have, so that's what I'm saying. So for me, what brings me joy is to create. So I can kind of turn off, if you will, what we think runs our world, or I don't like this term, but the monkey mind, they call it, right?
Mhm.
We think that that's what runs our world, but it really doesn't. So if I'm busy with my hands creating something, I kind of put that part aside, and then I'm open to connect with to spirit, because it's our higher self or our subconscious that's always on all the time.
Mhm.
So it doesn't have to be crafting, it could be anything.
It could be anything, and, when Roger's not around, he's a great musician. He bought me a keyboard for one of my birthdays,
Oh, nice.
and it's a wonderful keyboard, and so I practice on that.
Mhm.
Um, Picking up I took lessons for a really long time, and it's classical music, it's not
I
rock and
love
roll.
it. There's
And
nothing wrong
s
with that.
Oh, no, I agree, and so I, have been practicing different pieces that I knew so well so long ago,
Oh.
and it is very, grounding, and, it helps, I think it puts me in with my past and good feelings and happy feelings
Mm,
in a happy place. So, yes, I can understand that. I mean, I am not a person who's going to be performing for anyone, but I am performing for myself, and I love that it is challenging me to just remember who I am. It's a thing about finding out who I am and who I was and still am. So
and
that's
doing something for you and having
mhm.
the courage, because that's the other thing I'll say to people too. You'll hear
Mhm.
people saying, "Well, nothing brings me joy." Not my job to judge in any way, shape, or form. I don't live their life. I don't know what they're going through. So my next point usually is to say to them is, what brought you joy as a
As a
child?
child. Mhm.
Right. What were some of your hopes and dreams as a
Yes.
child? That it's never too late to do anything, to shift, to pivot. Heck, we can go back to that beautiful cat that came into your life at 15 years of age that most
Yes.
people probably would have given up on. Look at the joy he's brought to your life, and or she, and
Yes.
you've brought to her life.
Well, it is amazing, and yes, and it brings me back to being, I'm a girl, and I don't wanna be this to be about me, but it's just really sharing ourselves,
I'm loving this.
I mean, I'm a farm girl, in the beginning of my life, I was,
Mhm.
and, my best friends was my horse, 2
Oh,
horses, and all the animals that were in the yard, and a dog, and having a cat, brings me back to that as well, you know, good times, we hung out. Um, my mother was a busy farm wife, we had a huge farm, and I was the last one I was the last child.
mhm.
So, thankfully, I had a wonderful experience because I was able to, figure out how to ride a pony. My dad did not, believe in saddles,
Mhm.
so I had to learn how to go bareback and
Not
not
easy.
and I had to work with the horse, who is 1,000 pounds, to
Mhm,
stop and let me put it into a ditch, which is a decline in the road, and hop back on her back because I didn't have a stirrup or anything.
mhm.
So there's that relationship, So yeah, animals are very
Okay,
important.
so children, like you
Mhm.
said, you probably very well were communicating with that horse. I'm almost feeling or as you said, pony, the energy and maybe a little mischievousness, a little bit, but they knew, the horse knew, right? And
Mhm.
knew what you needed, and you
Mhm.
knew what you needed. And it was so funny. I think it was with David when I was on a guest on a show or something, and I was saying the reason why I believe all children, especially younger children and animals, can communicate with spirit. And I was going to say, and see spirit. And I was going to say something else. I literally heard from our guides or my guides was because they've never been told they can't.
Exactly.
It's the truth.
I mean, my future was ahead of me. I imagined myself as being a cowgirl and a crazy. I didn't know anybody who was like me, and
Mhm.
I just rode that thing all over the place, and
Love
with
it.
no helmet, bareback, and it was great. It was great.
I love it. Well, you know what else? It was Carol. I think that's a Carol Mario too. Cooking.
Mhm,
So cooking for Carol brings
mhm,
that her
cooking. Mhm.
joy. Mhm.
Yes. Yes, I was thinking that myself. I think I was thinking that when you were posting that, Carol. It was like, some people love to be creative in the kitchen, and their kitchen
Mhm.
is like a laboratory that they are so creative in making wonderful things.
Mhm.
Um, I am now at a later age. I have the time to actually make some pretty good food,
Mhm.
and I don't love to cook every day, but I do love to have people over, like my
Mhm.
family, and we have that. And so, um, and I'm experimenting on Roger as well for the food.
But
So,
that's just it, right? And there's a
mhm,
book, and again, with working with people and working one on one, like with a reading or whatever, sometimes things that'll come up about, say there's a relationship discord or whatever it is. And I think one of the most beautiful books anybody can ever read, and now if you could just, I can't get my partner to read it, but my point is, it's The Five Languages of Love, right?
mm,
That's why I had said earlier, I think my love language is gift giving. I don't want anything in return. And even better,
yeah,
yeah, like we ran around, my youngest son and I, and we went, and the way the houses, like the townhouses are set up, we were able to knock or ring the doorbell and sneak into the window and run away. So they knew who it was from, but it was just the fun of leaving it there.
that's
And then
cool.
it's just the joy that you see on people's face, and it makes you feel good. So
Mhm,
that's the way I think all of us, which I think is our birthright, whether it's communicating with animals, connecting with our guides, connecting with other people,
right.
is through our hearts. Like I was just saying this to one of my regular clients, and they had their muggle job situation.
Mhm,
The boss can be a bit difficult at times. And I said, well,
mhm,
guess what? You have a secret weapon, and I'm going to share a secret weapon here. It's not a weapon, by the way, is when you understand that everything is energy. Now, we have something called an aura. It's just personal space. When someone you don't know well steps in really close, right? What do we do? What, back up right away because it feels icky. Like we
mhm,
can feel it. So, and you were talking about imagining yourself as a cowgirl and the whole bit. We are so powerful with our minds and our thoughts and our words. We have no idea how powerful we are. Heck, you
mhm,
can get into even spells, right? And why we call when we're writing words out spelling. It is powerful. So you can get into a situation, and I've tried this many times, and maybe you don't want to be seen. So you just imagine yourself, if you want invisible, you're pulling that energy around you, your energy field in really, really close. Or say you feel threatened or you feel scared or whatever, right? Put it close to yourself. Maybe you're going into a job interview, and even though you might not feel confident, you might feel nervous. Imagine that big bubble, if you will, your energy field is bright and shiny and it's confident. Fake it till you make it. I'm getting goosebumps now, so I know that that's coming from spirit
you're
too.
right on. Mhm,
So my point is, it's not a weapon, but when people understand about energy and how to use it, right?
mhm,
Miraculous things happen.
mhm,
Or you've got somebody that's difficult, right? And yeah, sometimes feeling powerful energy could maybe be irritating, but sending them love. And if you can't think about love about them, we've all been there, myself
yeah,
included, where people just really push your buttons. Think about somebody or something that you love and just imagine you're sending that love to whomever. You
Mhm.
can even imagine a connection from your heart to the other person's heart. Send them love. I am telling you, people won't know what hit them. I'm serious, especially when they're
Mhm.
difficult. Or
Mhm.
another fun exercise, you're standing in line, or depending on where you live, you're on queue, and there's a bunch of people in front of you. Where you stare is at the back of the nape of their neck, about here. And just keep focusing there and say, turn around. Not out loud. Just keep thinking that, turn around, turn around. Now, it may not work right away. You may have to practice at it, but that's how you learn how to start to focus energy. And all of a sudden, you'll see people going, just so many.
That's awesome. I'm gonna try that.
And this is it's a party trick, but I'm going to show you this. No, it's easier in front of me, but I'm not going to move my hand. But this pendulum, for example, I'm going to tell it what to do with my mind. So I'm going to ask it to move back and forth, and then I'm going to ask it to stop. This one's heavier, so it's a little bit more difficult. I'm going to ask it to go in clockwise. It probably looks counterclockwise. Now I'm going to ask it to stop. So
Wow.
where I'm going with this is, and one time I did this on a show years ago, and people are going, "Oh my God, she's a witch! She's a witch!" No, I'm not a witch. I was trying to show people how powerful when we focus. I had to breathe. You see me take a big breath there because sometimes you
Mhm.
forget to breathe when you're focusing. We can all do these things. So once you start understanding that everything is energy,
Yeah.
right? That
Mhm.
we are naturally creators. That's why the law of attraction works. There's many laws of the universe. And if we really do come from a higher power, depending on what you may call it or believe in it, even if you don't, we come from somewhere, right? And if we truly are a part of each other, right? And we're
Mhm.
coming, say we're looking at source, we'll call it source.
Mhm.
And source has created each and everything that we see, the entire universe, and we are a part of that. We have that ability as well.
Right.
Mhm,
And I'm reading about that too,
mhm.
as well, which is, so why didn't I get that information before I
None of
had
us did.
summer until last summer when I was reading one of these books that I'm reading. I think it's the 10 things that dead people want to tell you, where it does explain that. And I'm sure there's a plethora of books that tell you this, that, you know, uh, y- you're creating it. You're creating it. You're just
We're
creating every,
creating our reality. You don't like
yes,
the reality you're in, and don't get me wrong, it's not as easy. It should be as switching a light switch off and on. And my guest I had on last night was really fascinating because he worked for NASA and he's an electrical engineer. And I had
wow,
never heard of space, meaning out in space,
right.
as a fabric. So I had so many questions. So I'm going, well,
Wow.
what kind of fabric is it? And he goes, it's
Wow.
energy. And it made
Oh,
so much sense because we have the old adage of be careful what you ask for, you might just get it, right?
yeah, it's
But
true.
when we manifest here,
Mhm.
and if you think about it, if we thought about everything that we wanted to have or create or use the law of attraction, and it happened instantly, like it does when we are no longer in this physical body or what have you, right? There's a
Mhm.
lot of things looking back that I know I can say that I thought I wanted, and I look back and go, thank God that didn't happen because it's not what I
Yeah.
wanted,
Well,
right?
and I think our guides, in that little spot that you made me think of, was that I also have discovered that I made some really stupid, in retrospect, decisions, and even while I was in that experience, um, I believe my guides or my angels were there to make it not as bad as it could have been. I feel like the guides that we have from birth, even though we have that ability to make our own decisions, and it might not be the right one according to, and you weren't listening to the guide, and you made that, guides, and you made that decision anyway. I believe they helped you not, have a worse experience. That's anyway
But
my
I
own.
also believe, and I see, you hear the old adage, I keep hearing this from spirit to repeat this, but, you fake it till you make it. That's why I'm saying, even though you may not feel confident, you imagine you're radiating confidence or whatever, right?
Yeah,
I'm really starting to do this and really trying to remind myself that say there's something I really, really wanted to happen or whatever it may be, and it just didn't work out that way.
yeah,
That you know what? There was a reason for that.
Right.
If that wasn't meant to happen, and God, I always try to add, because there's something else, this or better,
That
waiting
better.
for me.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
other thing is that everything happens in the exact time it's meant to.
Mhm.
But the big thing, and we've all had this, where we've had really awful things that have happened in our life. We look back and think, God, that was stupid, or God, I made some awful mistakes. But I
Yeah.
think it's what you do with it, right? It may take some time. It
Yeah.
may, whatever it may be, to process the emotions, work through the hurt, whatever it may be.
Right.
But it's, what do we take from that? What did we learn?
Mhm.
Never mind that, looking at the whole big picture. I think it's so important to embrace it all, because it brings us to who we are and where we are in this moment right now. Because, Faye, let's take what you just shared, for example. If that hadn't happened, you may never have been with Roger. You may never have done what you're doing now. You may never, there's so many things that couldn't happen. And it
Right.
brings to mind that movie, The Butterfly Effect. Shifting one thing can make such a massive difference in your whole path in your life.
Exactly.
Plus, you wouldn't have met the people you've met, and a lot of people don't realize, that's why I love the movie It's a Wonderful Life,
Mm.
is because we don't realize the effect that we have and how much we mean to other people, especially those that are having a difficult time and really feeling like nobody cares or they don't
Mhm.
matter. People just don't realize how much they affect other people's lives.
So true. It's
Mhm.
so true. I mean, we all emanate such energy, and I think that's I've learned that it is so important that the energy we also give out to people, even if you don't know them, to at least give out a good energy, a happy energy. I mean, to greet a person, like a little old lady who's coming out of the grocery store. She may not look like she's very friendly, but if you make eye contact with her and say hello, you've made her day. It doesn't even have, I mean, just think of the ripple effect that might be. It's
I
just,
agree. You know what trick I learned from my partner, Dell, that I never ever would have thought of, ever, because we're not taught this, and it is so disarming to people. Today, I had to call, for example. He had paid our cell phone bill. It's due tomorrow. But I said, can you do it online? But he's not tech savvy. So he went ahead and paid it, which I was so grateful for that he did.
yeah.
But it's not going to go through for 5 days. So I had to call the lady on the phone to tell her, hey, it's gone through. So first thing she says, hi, this is so and so, blah, blah, blah. I said, hi, so and so. How are you today? How's your day going?
Yeah.
And you hear absolute silence. And
Silence.
then they
They just
think,
go, what?
what? Somebody's asking me how much, because, right?
Yep.
You think about yourself, how you want to be treated. And then turning that inwards a little bit. When we do things that we beat ourselves up about, and we all do this,
Yep.
sometimes it's helpful to try and remember that, what would you do if that was a friend that had shared that to you? What would you do? Would you beat them up over it? No, you'd be there for them. You'd give them support. You would give them love. You would also provide that space as well as grace, that, you know what, it was a mistake, right? It's in
Mhm.
the past. There's nothing we can do from it. What did I learn? But it's so important to turn that inwards. That inward voice that we have, is we are the worst to our own selves and beating
Yes.
ourselves up. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree wholeheartedly
Mm.
that the only person that holds me back is me. And I'm sure that other people might be able to agree with that. I mean,
Yeah,
no
but
matter
then
where
you're
you are.
beating yourself up again when you say, right, you hold yourself back. Because if that's where I'm going with all these big things I'm saying, right? So yeah, maybe I'm holding myself back too in certain ways, like the store. I've been talking about the store with resin forever, right? And
Mhm.
and yeah, I end up getting pulled in another direction, this, that, whatever.
Mhm.
Could I beat myself up over it? Yes. But the way I'm trying to deal with it is, I'm getting there. I'm
Yep.
working on it. And the other
Yep.
thing is, everything in divine timing. So
It
when
is
it
true.
opens,
That's
it
true.
opens.
It is true. The divine timing.
I could
Absolutely.
beat myself up and say, girl, you're procrastinating. Girl, you're doing this. Girl, and all the things we say to ourselves. And am I get like with the animal communication? I knew I was getting in my own way. I knew I was. But what I'm trying to say is, yeah, we can beat ourselves up over it. Or we can say, okay, I'm aware of what the issue is, and I'm going to give myself that grace. That's why I said, treat yourself like you would treat a loved one or it's a child or a pet, or, and it's so hard to do, but I think that it really helps people shift perspective and give yourself that grace, right? Because when we hang on to it and we beat ourselves up, or
Yeah,
that you said getting in your own way, yeah, you know it, it's good to acknowledge it. And the thing is, what am I going to do moving forward?
yeah.
Hmm. I
That's
think.
so awesome. And by the way, where do you I would like to know, Lorilei,
Hmm.
how do you stay so motivated? How do you stay motivated? I see you in all these shows. I see
Hmm.
you helping people. Um, what motivates you? I mean, I know, I mean, that maybe that is a big question, but I mean,
Hmm.
but I just want to know. I mean, what is it that motivates you? You are so busy. You have a full family. You have pets. You have a son that needs,
Hmm.
care all the time. You
Hmm.
have a partner, Dell.
Hmm.
What motivates you to keep on going and having shows on Christmas Day and New Year's Day and helping people? What is your secret?
Well, I and again, I'm not saying this with judgment. Don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect, and not everything that comes out of my mouth is perfect and wonderful, but I always say I try to walk the walk of the talk that I do. Am I perfect at it? No, but I really do try because I think I love people. I love to help. That's probably why I became a nurse. I've always
Mhm,
loved people. But I'm going to let you know a couple little secrets here. First of all, I am a chronic pain sufferer. I don't share it with people. It serves no purpose. I'm not hiding it. I don't want people's sympathy or empathy. And I had one mentor once say to me, "Why? Because you think you don't deserve it?" No. To me, and I'm not judging anybody else because everybody is different, but for me, I don't need it. So for me, how I cope is when I first hurt my back years ago, I was laying on a couch. I couldn't get out of bed for many years. So I keep looking at where I was to where I am now. I'm so grateful that I can get up and I can do the things I want to do. So could I lay in bed and focus on the pain? Yes. But I keep active, I keep busy. I find that in this world, there's two people. You can have service to self. And again, I'm not judging. Maybe that's your path and your journey that you're meant to find out how life goes when you do that. But I think as part of the human race, that we're here in service to others.
mhm,
So, and my problem, another thing, another secret is boundaries. Feeling it's okay to say no without feeling guilty. So, what I'm trying to say is, I don't want to make it look like I'm this perfect, wonderful person because I'm not. And I acknowledge that I have faults, but for me to stay busy, right, and create a life that still feels fulfilling. Like I said, I had planned to be a doctor. That was what I wanted to do with my life. Life had other plans. I didn't know I was going to have a son with severe needs. So I try to look at the blessings in everything. Like I've said many times, autism can suck sometimes, but it's got a lot of blessings. On top of that, too, I grew up in a home, right, a very abusive mother. And it's almost like she did me a favor looking at the blessings in it because she taught me what I did not want to be by
mhm.
what I had seen with what I had grown up around.
Wow.
So I love being around people. And
Mhm.
again, I could lay in bed and focus on that I
All
don't
the
feel
bad
good,
things.
whatever. So
Yeah.
that's why I do what I do. Christmas Eve, Christmas night, for example. A lot of people say, "Why are you doing a show Christmas night?" Because I was very blessed. My mother-in-law, I talked to her. I said, "What are we doing for Christmas this year?" And she said, "Let's just go out." I said, "Oh, great." Then I find out 2 days before she's cooking, and I went
Oh.
in her house and I said, "You're bad." She said, "Well, I decided I was gonna cook." So that was the 23rd at lunchtime. And then my
Uh-huh.
oldest son, who's, engaged to be married, he has his own home. He did Christmas dinner at his house. So once we had presents and everything, I had the night free. So I thought, you know what? I know there's a lot of people out there that were having a
Yes.
hard time this year. So
Yes.
I love doing my show. So that's
There
why I'm
you go.
selfish. It made me feel
I
good.
applauded you. I said, "Wow, look at she's on." I couldn't believe it, but I
Mhm.
had to Christmas Day was a blessing. Let me just a little
Please
story.
do. I want to hear.
So Roger and I were thinking, well, all the family is busy with their own destinations,
Yeah.
Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, um, and I thought, well, we're just gonna, hunker down and just have a lovely time together, just, just him and me. Well, my granddaughter, who's 17,
Mhm.
texts me,
Aw.
says, Grandma, I miss you so much.
Aw.
What are you doing tomorrow? I said, well,
Mhm,
we're just hanging out here. Well, we're
mhm.
coming to see you. Okay. And
Oh,
she says,
awesome.
I'll bake a cake." She's
Mhm.
17 years old. "I'll bake the cake." And I said,
Wow.
"Okay, I'll make the spaghetti." So what turned out to be a quiet day for Christmas Day turned out to be a lovely at the spur of the moment get together with the majority of my family.
Aw.
On my side of the family, they all came and they had spaghetti and we had a wonderful time, and what a blessing, what that was our gift, and, then I
Mhm.
noticed you were on, but I wasn't able to watch a show because we
That's
were
okay.
having no, I know, and
I
I
didn't
know.
know if anybody was gonna be there, and with our network,
Yeah.
it goes through you would know this, but for people listening, Joe Montaldo, the owner of our network, he broadcasts out of his own home. So I messaged him and I said, "Hey, I'm gonna do a show Christmas night." Well, he has to turn on the server. It'll
Oh,
still go out to Facebook and whatever. I didn't even know if that was gonna happen. I didn't know if anybody was gonna show up, but I thought, you know what? I've got the time and it makes me feel good. I love doing shows on my own because I get
yeah,
to
you
chit
do a
chat with
beautiful
everybody.
job. I mean, you never know, I mean, spirit whatever spirit, brings you, you just bring and you bring it
And
for. Okay,
Roger, don't forget to plug
plug
the
the
show
show
tomorrow.
tomorrow. He's my
Roger, nobody could forget you.
oh my gosh. Yeah,
Mhm.
I guess we're already almost here. I mean, and so, I'm
I
gonna
feel like I've talked your ear off tonight, so thank you for having me. And
oh
you've
my
got
gosh,
such
that's what
lovely people here because,
yeah.
hi, Ken. Ken, I know from high school. I'm glad he was able to
Oh,
pop in.
I'm so glad you all joined us,
But you've
yeah.
got a lot of your people that have been popping on to my show, so
Yes,
I
it's
appreciate you guys and your audience. You have such a nice audio. I do too, but you have such a nice audience. You really do.
well, yeah, we do, we all do. I mean, this whole experience has been fabulous for me because we've been meeting people all over the world
Mhm.
that are just fabulous people and, have the same, you know, of the same sort of,
Mindset.
quest. They have the same quest. It's so wonderful to meet them. I want to plug your shows first. So Laura Lee, you have a show on Mondays,
Yeah, do
and
you want me to do it? It's probably easy for me. It's off the top of my head.
yeah, go right ahead. Just plug
Okay,
away.
so on Mondays, it's on UFO Paranormal Radio Network, or otherwise known as United Public Radio Network, or we just call it UPRN. And it's the Angel Rock. It's from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I forgot to check who's coming on because I'm almost booked till April. We have a Face coming on. You got a cancellation, by the way, Faye. That's why. Are you coming on next week?
It's on the 22nd, I
Oh, it's
believe.
the week after. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, Faye's coming on. And then I have a second show that I started with a very good friend of mine. He's an incredible medium, Angel Channel, David Hansel. And it's called The Thing at the Foot of the Bed on Thursdays from
such a
7
cool
to 9
show.
p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you.
That was it was fun watching you on Thursday when you had those clips of the different was it fake or real or whatever, the, paranormal.
Well, David doesn't always like we work so well together and I do all the technical stuff and I said I think it's a good idea to show the fake stuff so that when people see stuff, not that we know everything, but
Mhm.
it gives people an idea about what to watch for. So it was fun.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then so our shows are we have a show tomorrow night, Latino Psychic Visions. I hope you all
Awesome show.
y- visit us tomorrow. It shows Facebook, Latino Psychic Visions is the Facebook page. And then on the YouTube channel, it is Roger Garza Senior Psychic. So please, you're all invited to join us tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, we're going to have Lori Johnson, who's going
Oh,
to be our
I
guest.
haven't talked to Lori in years. I when I was on with you guys, I think Roger brought her up. I think it's been years. I was in my previous home. She's lovely.
Yes.
Mhm.
So anyway, she's going to be. on, and I wonder, is this Lori Johnson here? I'm not sure.
I think it is. She may not even remember me. Lori Johnson, you and I have talked on the phone in my previously haunted house. We have. And
Okay.
I think your son's birthday, if I remember correctly, is the same day as mine, August 15th.
Well, anyway, the time of our show tomorrow night is at 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern. And so please join us then. And then we also have a show on Saturday, which is This Mug's for You, which is 10:30 Central Time. And on that show, we're going to have a visitor. Oh, so it's not her. Lori says, sorry, it's not me. Well, thank you for
You got the same name.
we got the same name, just spelled differently. I'm not sure.
Mhm.
But anyway, Jonathan Keyworth is gonna be on our show on
I love
Sat
Jonathan.
I love him, and I love what he does, and I love what motivates him. He's awesome. So, anyway, thank you so much for joining me tonight, and it was a fantastic time. I loved, being able to ask you your backstory, and you know what? It is a fascinating backstory, and there's a lot more to you than even we talked about tonight. So I hope you join me again sometime, and thank you for
Anytime. Thank you for
yeah, you
having me.
always say that, and I thank you. I
Do you
appreciate
mind
you
if I
so much.
throw in how people can get a hold of me quickly?
Absolutely, please do.
If you want to get a hold of me, I'm on all social media platforms, either under Lorilei Potvin or the Angel Rock. You can get a hold of me on facebook.com/the Angel Rock. You want to book a reading, I do mentoring, all the things we talked about at the beginning of the show, or just reach out to me on social media. Fastest way is Messenger. Ask Faye or Roger.
Yeah, you can message me. I'll get you hooked up with Laura
No,
Leach.
but even to find me and message me on Messenger is the easiest. Unless
Okay.
I'm out shopping ahead of time and then stressing out my poor host beforehand. I'm so sorry
Not
about
a
that.
problem. Just kidding. No, it's not it wasn't a problem. I
Thank
had
you.
a backup for you if you weren't able to
Yeah,
show up.
it's good when we got a built-in backup in the
I
house.
know, I know. So, we're gonna say goodnight,
Night,
and
everybody.
Lori Lee, if you could just stay for a couple minutes, I'm not
Sure,
gonna make
absolutely.
absolutely, okay. So, good night, everyone. See you again. God bless.
See you, everybody. Thanks.